Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 28. Today we will mostly deal with two things. The first is the passenger branches on the rail network. We got close to finishing most of them the last time, and today, we will finally start seeing commuter train lines being active on the rails. The second thing is a new industrial area. Remember that first coal mine I was trying to build, but ultimately gave up on, because our construction infrastructure wasn't up to the task at the time? Well, we will revisit that place today and build a whole production chain around it. Once it becomes fully operational, we will finally have domestic brick, prefab panel, and cement production. Other than those, we will still tinker with things to help them run more smoothly. First things first, I noticed while editing the last episode, that I accidentally cut off deliveries to the rail CO completely. Instead of buying them separately, I will just tell the border DO to pick them up from Lukovo. That's where we will pool our construction materials for the time being. Sure, it's a bit of a trek, but I can live with that. If the distances do become a problem in the future, I can still just buy those new faster trucks to replace the old ones. Plus I'm already planning to replace the old rail CO with a new one, preferably with outside storages that can be filled up more easily with trains. The current office is working quite well, but a more central location would do us some good. Next, I want to make sure that Lukovo gets its power from a more reliable source. For that, the new transformer near the town will be perfect. And it doesn't require foundation work, so it should be done quite quickly. Okay, about that last small monument that I just couldn't squeeze in the last episode. I mentioned that there is a possible solution. And here it is. I just need to draw footpads beforehand, and connect it to those. Eventually, we can use them to find a workable entry point. Okay, that house connection is making things a bit difficult. There we go. Not pretty, but it's temporary anyways. Next, I did notice that I forgot to include a mixed signal at the farm warehouse. Is it necessary? In this instance, not really. Still, it's good practice to build everything, so I don't accidentally forget it where it actually is necessary. I also added the animal farm and abattoir to the Brooklyn-Grad bus stop. Once harvest comes in, we'll have some homemade sausage on the table of our citizens. I also want to continue upgrading the roads in Lukovo. I just need to make sure everything is still reachable. Now, the second memorial monument on top of the hill overlooking the town. If you watched the last episode, you already know what happened. This road is seconds away from being done. Might as well wait it out. The main construction for the steel commuter branch is finished. I got a bit ahead of myself, and started removing things a bit too early. We still need to electrify the rails. Don't worry, I'll realize it sooner or later. I will even buy the train before I realize that I was a bit too hasty there. A complete train set is a bit of an overkill for our purposes. A single passenger car will be enough. It finally dawned on me that I still need to build the catenaries. Thankfully, it won't take too long. I'm just glad I managed to do all this signal shenanigans without making the game crash. And the second memorial is finished. Okay, so this is the site that I will use for the new industries. It's going to be a big boy, so I will need to move these power cables before I even start. I'm starting to use more and more electricity on this branch. I might have to deal with it in the not too distant future, by upgrading it to a higher capacity. Even this amount of land won't be quite enough in the end. Alright, the passenger station at Kirkomov is almost done. We just need to add a pre-station crossing, and electrify the rails. Okay then, time to get started. First step is to extract the coal. We will use it to make the bricks and the cement. As usual, the hillside is too steep, so a bit of leveling is necessary. During my tests, I could build this complex without leveling this valley. But just to be on the safe side, this time I will do it. Get used to these interruptions, by the way. We will get a lot of notifications about the rails being finished. This time, it was for the town station. We can start building the catenaries to electrify it, and we can also add the station crossing. In this instance it wasn't really necessary to add one. Still, it can be useful. This way, it doesn't matter which of the two queues a train enters, it will have access to both station platforms, not just one. Okay, that's plenty of level terrain for now. I think our best bet for road access is to go through the lumber yard. And that of course means we need to upgrade that place to gravel. For this place, I think a single coal processor would have been plenty enough, but just to be on the safe side, I'll build two. It's a 70% source of coal, so it's quite a rich one. Even these two processors wouldn't be able to handle the output at full production capacity. Okay. Back to what we were doing. We will need to store the coal, and since we have a lot of production capacity on site, I think a big storage is in order. While I won't place it today, I already did a test, and I will be able to squeeze in a train loading station for this coal, so if we massively overproduce the stuff, we can make use of it elsewhere. I have a feeling that the current power plant is starting to struggle with the demand. Maybe a coal power plant could take advantage of the excess produced here. Anyways, as you can see, we will also need to use a couple conveyor engine towers to feed the processed coal into the aggregate storage. Another rail got finished. As I said, get used to these. Anyways, this time, the steel commuter branch is properly done. We have the crossing, and the entire branch is electrified. So, this temporary crossing can go, and we can finally place the signals, for good this time. Now we just need the town station to be finished, and we can release the first passenger train into the wild. Okay, let's continue. This road is mostly important for construction. We will use trains to bring in workers, and fire safety should be fine with a helicopter in close proximity. Coal is necessary to make cement, so a direct conveyor connection will take care of that. Same goes for bricks. Coal is the only thing we need to make them. Remember that coal loading station I mentioned? We will need to move this conveyor belt to make it work, but it won't be built before we finish for today, so we won't waste anything. Of course, we need to store the final product, and why not combine storage with the train station? The large open storage building gives us the best of both worlds. I decided to use this place for the passenger station. It needs to be in range for the coal mine, as well as everything else around here. For that, we will need to use some footpath acrobatics, but nothing major. This will ensure everything we currently have is in range. We still have the prefab factory to place. For that, We will need to wait for the roads to be finished, only then can we determine what to do next in terms of walkability. Anyways, next we need a second aggregate storage. Both the cement and the prefab factories require gravel, which we will bring in with trains. Let's not forget to store the cement. It would make sense to have a silo at the place of production. While I won't build one today, I might expand the area and include a dry bulk loading station in the next episode. It seems we were a bit too conservative in our estimations when we repositioned the power poles. We need more space. By the way, if I decide to build that dry bulk station, we will need to move it yet again. Small price to pay for progress though. Okay, let's place the prefab panel factory. It will only need gravel and cement to make the final product. It has a direct connection to the aggregate storage next door, but we will need an engine tower to move the cement over from the silo. And this is the final storage building for this area. Same idea. Lots of space, and a built-in train platform for pickups. Let's not forget to include power. When I was testing this arrangement, I built it way closer to the coal mine. This time it ended up a bit further away, so instead of the single substation that was enough in my test, this one will need two. Thankfully, the transformer at the oil site has two connections available, so we got a bit lucky there. Here, I just remembered that I only ever use dirt roads to reach buildings like substations and engine towers. So let's fix those connections all around this place. There we go. The town passenger station is finished. Time to place the signals, and start running the first ever commuter train service. This one was a bit more fiddly than I would have liked. That junction is way too narrow for my liking. I might have to do something about this mess in the future. But that would require a bit of planning and preparation, so I won't bother with it for now. Here, I was just checking that everything I was planning to build was indeed included in the final plans. Later, I will still discover that I didn't include the cement conveyor engine to supply the prefab panel factory, but it's basically ready for construction. I also removed the old border construction office from the assignment tool list. As I said in the past, I only ever want to use that in emergencies. Okay, now with everything ready to go, let's release the first commuter train onto the network. Also, let's enable workers on the town station, so it has some people to pick up. Nice. We just made the first passenger run on the rail network. Since this new train line served the same purpose as the old bus service, we can safely sell them and delete the old line. Now we only have to increase the frequency of the trains to match. The biggest issue with trains right now is that they don't have an option for line spacing. It's understandable, if trains started running slowly on the tracks to space themselves out, it would result in massive traffic jams. I already suggested a possible workaround for the developers on the official Discord channel. I don't know if it's a workable solution, but to me, anything's better than the current system without any form of line spacing. It seems one round trip is longer than the length of a work shift. At minimum, we need a second train. For now, I'll let it run. Removing all the buses might have been a bit of a shock to the system. I wanted to see how it would fare in the long run. It won't be relevant for at least 1 or 2 episodes, maybe even more, but might as well place the wires that will eventually power this place. By the way, to have a station for picking up coal, we will need to move these cables. I didn't know when I was placing them, but they won't be built today anyways, so no big deal. I just noticed the reason for why the high voltage line isn't being built. It's out of range for the CO that has the buses for workers. That 1500 tons of oil storage at the power plant is a lot, so I doubt we were in danger of running out. Still, we need to be careful. And the second harvest just started at the new farm, this time for both sides. Which means we will have some meat for our citizens to eat soon. I mean, we already have a couple 100 kilos, but I wanted to build a bit more before I start moving it. By the way, this is the last time I'll check on it in this episode. I will completely forget about it, so we will do it in the next one, I guess. Oh yeah, as you might have noticed, all the new passenger branches are ready to go. That should be it for the lumber yard. I'll only need to buy the trucks that will move the raw wood from the forest to the wood cutting station, and it's ready to accept workers. I will also need to limit the 2 storage buildings to exclusively deal with a single resource. The one between the wood cutter and the sawmill will only store wood, while the other one will only store the boards. Without this limitations, the middle storage would also accept boards, which we want to avoid at all cost. I wanted to see if maybe we could use trams for this line, but decided against it. They are simply too slow. I think one of the things we need to do in the next episode is to increase the frequency of signals on the main line. We will need more blocks to accommodate the higher number of trains. Well, everything's peachy, except we have no power. It seems all the buses at the town CO are busy moving workers to the new industrial sector, and they never get around to do so for the power lines. To fix this, I'll simply remove all other constructions assigned to that CO, so it will at least send one bus out to deal with it. After that, the removed projects will reassign themselves automatically. It seems a single train on the steel mill's commuter line simply isn't enough. Let's see if a second one will make things work better. And before I forget, we can also start a line going to Kirchhoff. I almost forgot to place the signals for this branch. If the steel mill was struggling with one train, Kirchhoff will definitely do so. It's further away, and it needs more workers. For now, this train line is only supplementing the original buses, instead of replacing them. We will need more than one running in the end, so these signals are necessary. Ever since we got rid of the steel mill's commuter buses, traffic got noticeably lighter. The same as in the real world, the only real solution to traffic is to have as little of it as possible. It seems we finally have power. Over 40 tons of boards are already waiting in the end storage. I'll let it build up a little bit before I tell the rail DO to use it as the source instead of the border. Despite our vastly increased construction capacity, it will still take a while before everything is up and running around here. Now, I think it's time we replace the old buses still working in this construction office. We have faster, higher capacity alternatives available to use, so I see no reason to hang on to these old clunkers. Okay, we have 70 tons of boards ready to go. I'll add it to the Rail DO now, and tick another import off the list. Okay, let's take a small rest, and beautify the town a little. I think adding a small gravel foundation to these small monuments will make them stand out a bit more. These last two already have a pretty big concrete slab under them, so I think just a decorative gravel path will do. We can also fix these incomplete footpaths at the houses. It seems the factories in Kirchhoff are struggling for workers a bit. Let's see if a second train will help. I think the biggest issue for it right now is that all the constructions are siphoning workers in the town bus station, so almost all workers in Kirchhoff are coming via train. Since the lumber yard employs very few people, I think we can tell this train to drop off any returning passengers for a transfer, so they can try their luck somewhere else. Okay. So we built all those train stations around the new industrial sector, and our track layers are sitting idle. Let's fix that by planning out the tracks for the area. Most of these will be just fine with a single track going to them. Pretty much the only one that needs a double line is the passenger station. Okay. Here come the heating notifications. Unfortunately, fire stations will complain about the lack of heating. I really wish they wouldn't do that. They are the only buildings in several places that need it, and I am not going to drag heating pipes all the way to Kirkomov or Lukovo just for them. I'm not sure if I'll keep these notifications enabled. I might just go with the electricity notifications instead. I'm still salty about the heating plants not sending a notification when they stopped working last winter. The only time it would have been essential for me to know. Anyways, back to planning the tracks for the new industries. I know, it's painful to watch. Believe me, it was more painful to actually trying to do it. At least you watch it in fast forward. I will build these track with catenaries from the start. But, since we are dealing with a lot of long segments, I'll remove all the unnecessary nodes beforehand, so the back and forth will be kept to a minimum. Also, I think we can build this junction a bit nicer. I think that's a bit better. This is where I realized that I still need to build the cement conveyor engine so the prefab panel factory can operate. Thankfully, making the connection was easier than I expected. Before I forget, we need this crossing, so both sides of the new tracks can be built. As for the next episode, we have a couple things we need to take care of. For example, we should have some meat waiting in the farm's freezer storage already, so building one in the town, and dealing with the local distribution should be a priority. I think it would be also a good idea to replace vehicles wherever we have better alternatives. For example, the current stable importing crops and chemicals for the fabric factories can be replaced without a doubt. They are the old Skoda trucks, and those are only capable of 62 kilometers per hour. Since those roads have been upgraded to asphalt a long time ago, it's time to take full advantage of that fact. We can also make minor changes to the new industrial district, so we can squeeze in the loading stations for both coal and cement. We will only need to move a couple power lines, and some parts of the passenger station's tracks to make it work. I doubt we will use trains to move cement over to Lukovo, but for future construction yards, it would be nice to have that option. It also wouldn't hurt if we built a second rail construction office. I am already pretty confident about where I want to build it, but I'm still working on the layout. It should be fairly close to Lukovo, so resources won't be very far. I might not bother with the outside storages for this one. And lastly, I did notice that somewhere along the way, I accidentally stopped importing electronics for the town warehouse. People are still quite happy all things considered, but their gadgets started breaking since the new update, so it would be advisable to give them replacements. Should be an easy fix, now that we have the rail distribution office at our disposal. Anyways, I hope you liked the video. If you did, dropping a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. Until then, see you later.